Hey there, and welcome back to the Easy Hard versus Hard podcast, a podcast that helps us define the work that we're doing and finding the work that actually matters in our lives. If you've been following along, we've been talking about things that get in the way of the work that we're doing. In the last episode, we talked about productivity and how it may be in the definition of the word more than in the application and understanding what makes us productive. Today, we're going to dive into something deeper. Purpose in life. Not just the kind you find on a motivational quote. I'm talking about the kind of purpose that drives your decision, your focus, and your energy. Why are you doing what you do? And then the dangers of purpose being hijacked by praise, pressure, the expectations of others. If this sounds familiar to you or you want to learn more, this episode is for you. All right, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about purpose. What is purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? Or do you find yourself asking yourself and others, what is my purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? These are all very important questions, especially when we look at finding our hard and avoiding the easy hard in our lives. Because a lot of times the purpose that we perceive or the purpose that we chase leads us into one of these two types of work. If we're looking for purpose in the admiration, praise, and acceptance of others, most likely we're doing work that is easy hard because we're not doing work that means anything to us or gives us the value and the direction that we want. And if we are chasing hard, our purpose is probably more defined and we have a sense of why we're doing what we do on a day-to-day basis. So purpose is a tricky topic because so many people have different perceptions of it. And again, it's really an individual ideal that only you can come up with yourself. But I find that many of us, myself included, often lose our sense of purpose. How do we do this? We lose our sense of purpose because we take on the ideals, goals, aspirations of others, for sure. We lose our purpose because we don't really know who we are or what we want to be. And then a lot of times we lose our purpose because we failed at something or haven't achieved where we think we should be. So therefore we see our purpose is gone or we're lost and we're trying to find a new purpose. A lot of times people chase purpose like they chase motivation. But when you do this, it's not a steady state in your life. Motivation is an emotion and it comes and goes. Purpose, however, remains. Purpose will give you the ability to develop self-discipline, self-determination, and really separate what others want you to do and allow you to concentrate on what you want to do. Purpose is like a North Star or a vector that guides you in every action and every decision you make. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that you do during a day or a week will serve the purpose directly, but you can always indirectly serve your purpose no matter what your duties and obligations are. For example, a lot of us don't like the jobs we're doing, the W-2s, the 9-to-5s. And because we don't like that, we somehow think we don't have a purpose. But how about if you had a purpose, let's say helping others? What's to prevent you from taking that to your 9-to-5? What's to prevent you from learning and exploring and living your purpose every single day? I think one of the biggest problems with finding our purpose is when we don't have it, we begin to replace it. And once we replace it, we start losing a sense of who we are. And each time we do that, we get further and further away from understanding both why we want to do something and then what we actually do. I know along my journey, this was a valuable lesson I had to learn because I had replaced my purpose with the purpose of others. I made decisions not based on what I wanted to do, but what I thought others wanted me to do. Before long, their purpose became my purpose. This could be making money for a company or promoting a contract or getting a certification degree because the industry or employer wanted me to have that. But what it was doing was it was taking my time and energy to pursue something that wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do. Now, at the time, I didn't have a healthy understanding of purpose, and I allowed these activities to take my purpose away from me. I think until you really sit down and identify your purpose and truly understand what it is that you're here on earth to do, you don't have the perspective of guarding your purpose. But guarding your purpose, I think, is invaluable to your success, happiness, and even will help fuel the productivity that we talked about in the last episode. Once I lost my purpose, I began to lose myself. That manifested in me showing up as a different version of myself because I replaced who I was with what I wanted others people to view me as based on their goals, aspirations, and desires. When you lose your purpose, you lose your ability to delegate and understand how you're spending your time. You'll begin to allow more easy hard into your life because you're pursuing something that's not yours. It's almost like your cognitive self isn't developed and you don't have the emotional or cognitive intelligence to rationally decide what you want to do. In my case, when I replaced my purpose with the purpose of others, I ended up not liking myself, not wanting to be with myself every day because the work I was doing, sure, it might have been impressive and moving the needle on my career, but it wasn't moving the needle of what I wanted to do and what I was called to do. After I wrestled with this for many years, I finally aligned myself with my purpose. I was able to see my true self and see what I wanted to do. I want to help others be better, be more productive, be more happy. I really want people to chase the work that they want to be doing. I want to do this not out of arrogance or because I found the right answers, but because I truly believe that once you find your purpose and start executing hard in your life, you'll begin to see the fulfillment. You'll be able to show up for yourself, and therefore you can go show up for others. You can be the change that you want to see in others because you've changed yourself. Anytime you're doing something and it's not you, it's like you've got a mask on. You're masquerading about life, and you can't truly provide for yourself or others because you're in a different state. A lot of actors in movies will play a part, but they're not that person. If they begin to believe that they're that person, they replace the person they're portraying with who they are. And that's what I was doing in life. This led to unhappiness, unsatisfaction, depression, and it even got me to the point where I didn't understand why people wanted to be around me. I couldn't understand why anyone would want to have a conversation or go to dinner with me or spend their free time, hanging out with me. I was showing up to my friends, family, colleagues as a different version of myself. Because I don't know what someone else expects of me or desires from me, this is an endless do loop. I kept chasing what I thought they wanted, and they may not have even wanted it. What I've found since I've started this podcast is friends and acquaintances have reached out to me and told me that they didn't know this Bobby that I've been talking about. Well, the sad part is they did know that because it was the Bobby that I showed them. It was the one that I allowed them to interact with. It was the one that I was being at the time, but it wasn't me. Sure, there might have been some elements of who I truly am, but at the same time, it wasn't the full me. Once I made the shift and started focusing my efforts and my thoughts towards my purpose, I've been more present, been more available, been more real with the people that I interact with. More importantly, I'm more present and real with myself. Prior to really understanding my purpose, I would find myself plagued with negative thoughts. And these negative thoughts just kept building on each other. And I couldn't escape the talk I was giving myself, which was so negative and so hurtful. If I had spoken to anyone in my life the way I spoke to myself, I would have had no friends. I would have had nobody who wanted to be with me. Because like I said, I didn't want to be with myself. I hope none of you are that trapped and that stuck on essentially hating yourself. I hope you can truly love yourself. And if you can't love yourself, like yourself, but always be yourself. And in order to be yourself, you got to find your purpose. Much like many of the concepts that we're going to discuss along the way, I can't define what your purpose is. Only you can. I'm assuming you know what your purpose is or knew it at one point. So I think at any stage, you can go back and find your purpose. You're not too old. You're not too young. Once you find your purpose, hang on to it. Guard it. Don't allow what you think others want from you to replace who you are. If we allow our purpose to be set aside or become secondary in how we live our lives, I don't think we're providing value to others. And when we can't find our purpose, we are going to keep chasing more efforts that we probably don't want to do. We're going to fill our time, our schedules with meaningless tasks, at least meaningless in our development and our satisfaction. And that's going to lead to more easy hard, because you're never going to get the fulfillment from it. Once you find your first hard, I think you'll find that your mind shift changes. The way you spend your time, the way you think, even the way you struggle will be different. You won't be judging yourself against who you are. You won't be seen as a hypocrite to yourself, because you'll have purpose. You'll have direction. You'll be able to make the decisions that you need to fill your soul and do what you want to do versus what you think you need to do or should do. So I know this is a little obtuse on purpose, but in my coaching, I found so many people tell me directly or indirectly that they want purpose. You know, they say, I have purpose this week, and then it seems to wane or whatever. And once we dig into it more, we find that it's more of a motivation or an emotion that they're thinking is purpose. But purpose is kind of like a quiet undertone. It's like a white noise in your heart, soul, and it guides you, it comforts you, it challenges you. Motivation is just an excitement. I don't really like the word motivation because, like I said, it's an emotion, and emotions come and go. And most science and cognitive specialists will tell you that you don't want to live your life on emotions because they're wild fluctuations into the center line of who you truly are and how you really think. While it's exciting to get excited about something, what normally happens when that excitement ends? You get into the valley of despair. If you know your purpose, you'll go into that valley and come right back out. But if you don't know your purpose, or you're chasing some other purpose, if you're like me, you're going to find yourself in that valley way too long. The peaks are going to become less, and the valleys are going to become deeper and longer, and you're not going to be able to get yourself out of them as quickly as you did before. Eventually, you'll be able to get out of it, but how long till you get back into it? I have found, since I found my purpose and my direction in life, I have less of both peaks and valleys. It's more a steady state. I think this is because every day I think about and act upon my purpose versus trying to find the next thing, jump to the next project. My oldest friend in the world often tells me, or when he calls me up, he says, hey, what are you doing this week? What's your passion this week? And he's right in that, because I have jumped from so many things. I used to think it was because I was curious or I wanted to learn something about something else. But the more I think about this and have found my purpose, I find less and less of this jumping around. The thing that I do now may take a lot longer, take a lot more energy. I'm not saying it's easy by any stretch, but I get fulfillment of it. I don't feel like I need to jump and grab something else to take the place for something I'm failing at. So if you have failed at something, really analyze it. Is this because I failed, or is this because I didn't really care about it or want to do it? If you fail at something you don't care about and get upset, just walk away. But if you fail at something that you do care about, something that your purpose tells you to do, it's probably not going to be as impactful to you. You're going to learn from it. You're going to be able to go. A lot of people say learn from your mistakes, but they've got to be the right mistakes. Not every mistake is going to give you a teaching moment if it's not something you want to do or something that you're receptive to hear. I found that once I've aligned my purpose with my actions in the work I do, failure does become a teaching moment because it gives me another way to think about it, another way to develop myself, learn a new skill, ability, or find someone who can help me along the path. That's another thing with purpose that I found personally in my life, is I was unwilling to accept the help of others because I saw that as a weakness. I thought if someone needed to help me, then it made me less of a person. It doesn't. Use people, use your resources to advance yourself. Just because you don't know how to do everything doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't take away from your purpose. In fact, it may add to your purpose. It may give you more time, energy, and wisdom to pursue your purpose even more. In closing, I'd like you to take the week to think about how you view your purpose in life. If you feel like you've lost your purpose, sit down and reflect. Try to find out when you did have purpose. What was it? What made it go away? And then if you do have a purpose, but it's not so strong, or you don't feel like it's guiding you day to day, think about ways you can get that back. Think about ways you can incorporate it in the next project that you do or the next obligation that you have. Don't lose sight of what you're doing and allow it to steal your purpose. Don't allow it to further misalign you with who you want to be just because you're not doing what you want to do right now. It'll take us some time to get out of the easy hard and move into the hard. But that doesn't mean that you should just not learn the lessons and pay attention to what's going on. Use this time. Really assess why the easy hard wasn't serving you. And then take time to really find your hard. Because if you don't take this time and it's not aligned to your purpose and you don't define it, you're just going to probably jump to another easy hard. And then you're going to have to start this cycle all over again. I hope this was helpful, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So please drop me a note if you have anything to add or any questions that you'd like for clarity. And if you found this helpful to you, please share it with someone else that may could benefit from this. Next time, we'll dive into the meaning of life. And while I know sometimes purpose and meaning of life get confused, I hope to explain the difference, or at least how I perceive the differences to be. And that will be the final problem that I see. And then after that, we'll start diving into what easy hard versus hard is, and then how we can change our behaviors and habits and actions to go pursue them. Again, as always, I thank you for your time. I'm Bobby Shelton. And until next time, keep doing the hard work and find the work that's meaningful in your life.